Thanks everyone so much for coming onto this Q&A with Ramsey. My name's Elliot. I'm one of the account managers for Prospel, who's hosting this event on behalf of Ramsey. Aaron, I'll
Cool.
hand it over to yourself.
Thanks, Elliot. Like Elliot said, yeah, there we will have a dedicated time slot for questions at the end. So we'll try and keep that as long as we can so that we can answer your guys' questions. But I've got a couple of screens here. I'm sure you guys are used to that, but just bear with me. But thank you all for joining. We're here from Ramsey Healthcare today, and we're all here to learn about our Ramsey graduate program. So we're going to be aiming to showcase that to you. And throughout this presentation today, like Elliot said, we are aiming to answer a lot of your questions through the content that we show you on these slides. But I think what we'll start off by doing, if you could go to the next slide, thanks, Kim, is we'll do some intros. So I'll go first. My name is Aaron. I lead the graduate recruitment process here at Ramsey. Nice to meet you all. Hand over to you, Kim.
Everyone, my name's Kim. I am the clinical learning lead for Ramsey Health. Nice to see you all.
Hi, my name is Marie Argy. Please excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in the throat. I'm working with you on the Graduate Pathways program. So I'm the learning lead on the Graduate Pathways program.
Hi everyone, I'm Caroline and I work alongside Aaron in the graduate recruitment team.
Perfect. All right, before we get started, we'll just go and do the acknowledgement of country first. So welcome everyone. In the spirit of reconciliation, Ramsey Healthcare acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. I come to you today from the lands of Yugambeh people of the Yugambeh Nation. I hope I've said that right. This covers much of the Gold Coast, the Scenic Rim, and parts of northern New South Wales. Interestingly enough, the suburb that I live in is called Mudgeeraba, and that's actually an Indigenous word for place of sticky soil, which I found interesting. So I thought I'd quickly share that today. So this is our agenda for today. In terms of who's going to be talking about what, I'm going to kick off. I'm going to be showing you guys about Ramsey Healthcare and giving you some background on our business. Then Kim and Marie will take you through the graduate program overview and what you can expect if you are successful in getting a graduate position, what you can expect to go through in our grad program. Then we're going to hand over to Caroline and she's going to take you through the recruitment process and what that looks like to actually apply. Then we're lucky enough that we've actually got one of our current graduate enrolled nurses from Victoria that's going to join the call, and we're going to have a bit of a Q&A with her, and she's going to speak to you guys today. And then at the very end, we'll have some time for questions as well, where you guys can ask us and the panel any questions that you might have. All right, so to kick off, Ramsey Healthcare. Ramsey Healthcare was established in 1964 by Paul Ramsey, and over time we've become the largest private hospital operator in Australia. Pretty much any private hospital that you can think of, or all the main ones, Ramsey owns most of those hospitals. And one of the reasons I mention this is because a lot of people don't realise that, so I wanted to give you some examples. We had lots of people from lots of different states. So if you are in Brisbane, you've probably heard of Greenslopes or St Andrews Private Hospital. They're Ramsey hospitals. If you're from Melbourne, we've got Northern Private and Warringal. Sydney, we've got St George, Westmead and North Shore. And then if you're from WA, Hollywood and Joondalup. Like I said before, I'm based on the Gold Coast. So anyone on here, you would probably heard of John Flynn or Pindara. They're also Ramsey hospitals as well. So if you put all of our hospitals together, we've got over 70 private hospitals across Australia. And then we also have facilities including mental health, 2 public facilities, hospital in the home, telehealth, allied health, and a Ramsey Pharmacy franchise network as well. All right, so this slide here gives you a visual of everything I said in the previous slide about Ramsey, but more specifically, it shows you our footprint in Australia. I'm not going to sit here and bore you with all the statistics and fluff different numbers at you. I think as students, there's 2 key things that you need to be aware of that are on this slide. The first one is we offer permanent graduate positions. I'm going to say that again, just so that you guys know. Our graduate positions we offer are permanent. So what that means is they're not temporary. If you are lucky enough to secure one, it will be a permanent position. So just wanted to flag that. The second thing that you guys should know is we are the largest private hospital operator in Australia, like I said before. So what that means for you guys is the nursing pathways that you guys can embark on after you finish your graduate program. There's so much different stuff that you can do. There's so many specialty pathways. Kim and Marie are going to show you some of those later in the presentation, but they're the two key things I wanted you guys to remember from this slide. So throughout the slides today, we aim to showcase what's available to you if you're successful in securing a graduate position with us. And then this here just gives you a little bit of a visual about Ramsay, not just in Australia, but worldwide. We are in Europe and the UK as well. We are one of the leading providers in the UK and have 554 facilities spread throughout Europe. So if you didn't know that, we're not just in Australia, Ramsay is international. All right, so I'm going to stop talking for a moment now, and I'm going to hand over to Marie from our Learning and Organisational Development team, and she's going to take you through what the program entails if you are successful. So I'll hand over to you, Marie.
What I want to take you through is your journey when you join Ramsay. So Kim, if you can just put down those points for me, I'll talk them through. So when you join Ramsay, your start date will be whenever you actually join Ramsay. So although we have two major intakes in the beginning of the year and the mid-year, in the middle of the year, you may join Ramsay at any stage, and then you will join your next cohort. So say, for example, you are about to join us in May, we'll take you on, that's fine, and then you'll join your August cohort, the mid-year intake. Your first year is called your graduate year. That lasts for 1 calendar year from your start date. So if you're successful in joining Ramsay and then completing that year, after 12 months, you will move into your development year. And the development year is you're no longer entitled to graduate, but there's things that we offer you as development pathways that you may elect to explore in that second year. And then your program completion will be 2 years after you have joined Ramsay. As Aaron said, it's a permanent position, so you are on that journey for those 2 years, and then continue on with us, we hope. That's what we want out of our graduate year. Kim, if you can just move down. So what I'm really involved in is the first year, and we have 5 paid skill-based study days. Now, these are designed for a couple of reasons. One, they're really good skill sessions to get you from moving from a student into being a full-time employee with Ramsay. They're looking at supporting you and moving through from that journey. They're also aimed at you meeting your fellow cohort and moving through that journey with them. So we have things like starting your journey, which looks at your workload management and medication, how to work in a team, because we do use multidisciplinary teams within Ramsay. So how do you work with that team? How do you communicate? And that moves all the way through to your professional life and how you can proceed with Ramsay going forward and what we offer you. So that's the 5 study days. They are nationally delivered in the morning and then skills-based in the afternoon. So you get stuck into working with your colleagues in various skills-based programs. Next one, Kim, thanks. Look, some of the feedback that we've been given from this format has been really, I think, very exciting. We've done a lot of work in the last couple of years on this program, and one of the things that we're getting feedback from is the support that these study days give you and that first graduate year gives you. So some of the quotes here is useful day, practical skills, really well scheduled, support shown by senior staff and mentors is beyond expectation. So this program has got a lot of really good feedback about supporting you in that transition process and moving into your future careers. Next one, thanks, Kim. So you're going to meet people on this journey. You're going to meet your graduate coordinator. They're there to set up the programs. They're there to support you. If you have any issues, they're there to check in with you and see how we can support you further. You will have access to a supervisor preceptor to give you guidance, and their real aim is to say, take you from a theoretical basis of what you have learned in your studies into the practical application. So they're there with you during your program. We always have clinical facilitators and educators available to you to update you, to support you. If you're unsure on something, you can ask one of these facilitators or educators to come and give you a demonstration of that skill on the job. And of course, the big thing here is your fellow graduates. You're not on your own. People around you are going through the same thing, making connections and learning more about them. So year one, as we said, it's your graduate year. Key milestones and things that will potentially happen. First of all, it's only 12 months where you're called graduate. You may experience rotations depending on where you are entering and what you are highlighting, which hospital you're at. So you could actually have 2 rotations within that 12 months. Mentioned the study days. As I said, paid study days. Always you'll have access to the on-the-job training. We will give you performance appraisals where you get to give us feedback and we give you some feedback and find out the support needs that you may have so that we can help you in your journey. There will be a graduate project, which is really basically looking at what you're doing and how that relates to the national standards of best practice. So it's really taking on that Ramsay supports best practice, and we get that mini project there for you to determine what you're doing and how that relates. There will be chance for you to complete your professional portfolio, which is keeping up your continuous professional development. We will give you core competencies and training that you need to complete, which goes into your resume as well. So we're building on your skill set. And at the end of that 12 months, you have the certificate that says, I have completed that program and this is what I've done during that. So we're building on your professional careers through this year.
So I'm going to talk to you about the second year, which my team run as part of the Nursing and Midwifery Academy. So we offer a lot of opportunities to you during your second year. The idea of your second year is once you finish that first graduate year, you're not a graduate anymore. You're a regular kind of staff member with us. And we really want to set you up for where you want to go in your career. So my job and the job of my team is to make sure that we can help you get the skills that you need to do that. So we do that by offering a range of different opportunities. We have different secondment opportunities that we'll talk through. We have different scholarships and funding opportunities that you can partake in as part of the graduate program, as well as the 2 Ramsay scholarships that we have per year as well. We have advanced skills development, so looking at programs like our leadership development program. We have leadership masterclasses that you can participate in, and as well as making sure that you can work towards the top of your scope of practice so that you're able to get as much clinical and professional expertise that you're wanting throughout your career. We strongly encourage clinical networking and continued networking, so being able to maintain relationships with the graduates that you form relationships now, but also then expanding them across the business, working out who else you can collaborate with in different areas in the team, form networks with. LinkedIn is amazing for that, to be able to create networks with people and see what's happening across the greater business. If you're anything like me, I'm a real sticky pig and I love to see what different areas of the business are doing. And LinkedIn's a really great way to be able to see that. We have lots of different career pathways that you may be able to follow, regardless what discipline you're undertaking. You've undertaken as part of your, sorry, complete blank there for a minute, regardless of what discipline you've undertaken as part of your study, and regardless of what subspecialty you may go into as part of your rotations in your graduate program. So we have lots of different pathways and opportunities for you to be able to go into. We also have, as Aaron mentioned, a range of facilities across Australia. So we have regional, we have metro, and we have rural, and you can also look at transferring very easily between those different facilities. And some of our banks have, as some of our states have secondment opportunities for you to be able to move between the different facilities. For instance, it's a lot tougher to get employment in rural facilities. So occasionally some of our metro staff will say, you know what, I'm up for a secondment. Is there anything that's coming through? And we're able to link you in with those. We like to make sure that you consolidate as well the clinical skills that you've picked up throughout your graduate program. So this is just an example of some of the development opportunities that we've offered in the past, and we will be offering again this year. So for those of you who are enrolled nurses, we offer you the enrolled nurse to registered nurse pathway. So that's a 2-year or 18-month, I think it kind of works out to be, program with Charles Darwin University. So you get credits for being an experienced enrolled nurse, and you can then become a registered nurse from that. We've got consolidation of clinical practice, which is where you really work towards the high end of your scope of practice. So you might do a series of in-house training. It might be cannulation, it might be inserting nasogastric tubes, male catheterization, all the different clinical areas where you're looking to working towards that top end of your scope of practice for what your discipline is at the moment. And then you can look at using programs like our University of Tasmania postgraduate study program to really be able to access very affordable postgraduate study, which is an opportunity that's given to you as part of our partnership. So we really encourage and really strongly believe that the development year is really important to support you with further and deeper learning and development. So it gives you that ability to be able to access additional supports while you're transitioning to that future state of business as usual. So by really embedding and upgrading your clinical skills and exploring a new area of nursing practice, you get to continue to practice and refine your skills in knowledge and practical workplace environment. So I actually sat where you guys are sitting. Let's just say it was a little while ago now, as a newly graduated registered nurse, and I've actually taken every opportunity that's been put towards me through Ramsay to end up in the position I'm in at the moment. So absolutely the opportunities are there for you. You just need to be willing to say yes and grab them with both hands. And the world is your oyster. You never know where your career pathway might take you. So I'm going to hand you over now to Caroline. Thanks, Caroline.
Amazing. Thank you, Kim. Hi, everyone. I'll be walking you through what you can expect from the recruitment process for our graduate program. So this is a simple 5-step process, but before we get started, just up on the screen are the QR codes. So for those of you who haven't applied, this is an opportunity for you to scan the relevant QR code, which will take you through to your state application. So just give you a moment or two. We will show this slide again at the end of the session. Wonderful. Thanks, Kim. Okay, so the first step is, of course, submitting your application. So applications for our mid-year intake are open, and this intake commences from August to October. So if you have graduated, or you will be graduating anytime from now until the commencement period, you're eligible to apply for this intake. You do not need to be AHPRA registered at the time of application. However, you must have obtained your AHPRA registration to be eligible to commence. So once applications close on the 15th of March, your application will be reviewed by your preferred site, and you will receive an email notifying you of the outcome. So please note that you can expect an application result by the end of April at the latest. So if you're selected to progress to the interview stage, you'll be contacted by the site to confirm the details of your interview, either by phone or by email. So depending on the hospital, the interview may be conducted one-on-one or in a group setting, and this can be held either face-to-face or virtually. If you're successful at interview, the next step will be the reference checks. So you will receive an email from our external reference check provider, referee, and that will prompt you to pop in the contact information for one referee. We only require one. So this referee can be a current manager or a clinical facilitator or educator who you've worked with within the last 6 months. So once successful reference checks have been reviewed, you'll receive a conditional verbal offer. So if you choose to verbally accept the offer, you'll then receive an email from us prompting you to log into your applicant portal and upload your pre-employment documentation. So your pre-employment documentation must be submitted within 5 working days, and your offer of employment is conditional upon satisfactory pre-employment checks confirming your suitability for employment. So you won't be issued a formal contract until we've received and reviewed your pre-employment documentation. So I'll just run through what that pre-employment documentation entails. So firstly, you'll need to provide evidence of your working rights within Australia. So for Australian citizens, that includes a copy of your passport or a copy of your driver's license or government photo ID accompanied by either your birth certificate or citizenship certificate. For international visa holders, you'll be required to provide a copy of your passport as well as your visa grant letter. The next section of the pre-employment form will ask for your APRA registration details. So if you're already registered with APRA, you can provide the APRA registration details. But if you've not yet graduated and you don't have your APRA registration, that's perfectly fine. You can select an option to indicate that you're not registered and you can still submit that pre-employment form. And for those people, you will have an opportunity to provide your APRA registration later in the onboarding process. So just to reiterate, you will not be able to commence your graduate program until you're officially registered with APRA. So for those of you still studying, we recommend registering on the APRA websites to help expedite that process once you graduate. And then the final step of your pre-employment form will be uploading your Working with Children check. So please ensure that you applied for the paid Working with Children's check in the state where you will be practicing, not the volunteer. And remember the correct state. So it's worthwhile applying for this in advance, as in some circumstances it can take up to 6 weeks for the Working with Children's check to be granted. And just to note that anyone in the state of Queensland is not required to have a Working with Children check. So following the submission of your pre-employment checks, you will then be issued with a formal letter of offer, and you'll need to log into your employee portal again to review and accept your letter of offer within 3 working days. Wonderful. So I'll just run through the application criteria. So in order to be eligible for our mid-year intake, it's essential to meet the following criteria. Your education, you must have completed or be on track to complete your diploma or Bachelor of Nursing or Midwifery. You must be eligible for APRA registration as an enrolled registered nurse or midwife between August 2026 and October 2026. And you must hold valid Australian working rights. So please note that Ramsay Healthcare do not offer sponsorship for graduates. All right. So applying for our graduate program is really simple and it should only take you about 10 minutes. So the application process includes uploading an up-to-date resume. We do not require a cover letter, a copy of your most recent clinical placement feedback form. So if you're currently undertaking a clinical placement at time of application, you can submit the feedback form from your previous placement. And also please note that there's no specific Ramsay Healthcare document or placement form. You can submit your ANSAT form, or you can submit any other formal feedback form provided by your education provider or during your clinical placement. And then you'll also have an opportunity to include a personal summary. So this will either be in written or video format. And this is your chance to explain why you're interested in joining Ramsay, the Ramsay Graduate Program, and how your core values align with Ramsay and the Ramsay Way. So this is a maximum of 300 words. You'll also have the opportunity to select your first and second preference hospital where you'd like to work, and also your first and second specialty where you'd like to do your graduate program. We're just going to run through a few tips for applying. So the first tip is do your research. So before applying and interviewing, we recommend you research Ramsay Healthcare, familiarise yourself with our organisation's purpose and our values. We also recommend reviewing our graduate program details and ensure that you understand the application process. Next is your resume. So when you're updating your resume, you want to really accurately showcase your experience and skills. So make sure you include any previous paid healthcare experience that you may have, and also be sure to include your previous clinical placements, including the hospitals and the specialties where you've completed them. And this one might be a simple one, but just make sure you proofread your resume for any grammatical or spelling errors. Okay. The next thing is to carefully assess and who. So take your time to choose your specialty and the hospital preferences. So as mentioned earlier, you'll have the option to select 2 hospitals and 2 specialties. And we recommend considering how close you're located to the hospital, as well as identifying specialties that you're really interested in. So there will be a specialty matrix included on the application form. So there'll be a hyperlink that you can click, and that will showcase the graduate specialties that are available at each site. And also just please keep in mind that allocation to your preferred specialty is subject to site requirements and availability. And the last tip is to ensure that you meet our eligibility criteria for our graduate program, and also to mark your calendars and make sure you apply on time. So applications for this intake will close on the 15th of March at 11:55 p.m. Okay, so that is all from the recruitment process, and I'm now going to hand over to Sandy Lamb. So Sandy is a current Ramsay Healthcare graduate enrolled nurse who has very kindly volunteered to share her experience with us all here today. So Aaron will be asking her a few questions about her experience on the graduate program. So I'll hand over to both of you.
Thanks, Caroline. And Sandy, thank you so much for joining us. I know
Not
it's
a
after
problem.
hours, but we really appreciate it.
No worries at all.
I know it's probably not too long ago that you would have been a student yourself, so I'm sure that a lot of the students on the call here can relate today. But Sandy, the first question I've got for you is, if you think back to when you applied for the Ramsay graduate program, what actually led you to apply in the first place?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to do 2 of my 4 placements at Warringal Hospital in Melbourne. And towards the end of my studies, a cadetship became available. I applied for it because I'd obviously been at Warringal a couple of times and knew how good it was. And fortunately, went through the process and got my cadetship, which enabled me to do my grad year.
Oh, that's amazing to hear. It's
Yeah.
always good when you can, you've done a placement at a hospital and then continue on from there as a graduate. It's something that I know a lot of facilities look at.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got another question. So you're in your
Sure.
first year of your graduate program as a graduate enrolled nurse. Is that correct,
Yep,
Sandy?
that's right. Yep.
Yeah. So can you tell the students a bit about your experience within the grad program so far in your first year?
Look, I think the grad program is amazing. I've been fortunate enough where I'm working at the moment. I'm on my second rotation. So the first one was in a surgical ward. You learn so much in the first 6 months. Now I'm in my second rotation. It's exactly the type of nursing that I wanted to be in. So I've been very lucky. I think all the support from the grad coordinators, who's pretty much on site most days. You have the educators they're there every day, and if your educator isn't available, you're pretty familiar with the rest of them in the hospital. They all kind of make themselves available to the grads all the time. And just, I suppose, generally being able to go to other grads that are in the same position as you when you need to talk about something makes life a lot easier.
Nice.
So
Oh, that's great.
the whole year, not quite year, I'm a bit ahead of myself. The up to this point of my first year has been amazing.
Nice. So that's so good to hear. Ed, I'm just
Yeah.
interested. You've done your first rotation, now you're into your second. Which one have you
Yeah.
enjoyed more so far?
I'm in oncology palliative at the moment, which I love. I was surgical prior. I had a feeling that surgical nursing wasn't my preference, but I'm glad that I did it because it sort of guaranteed, okay, this isn't for you. As much as I learned so much, a lot of medication knowledge, you're never really not learning, but it got me to where I am now, and I'm exactly where I want to be. So I'm very happy.
Yeah. And you mentioned the support that you've got so far, which is amazing. And I know the
Yep.
jump from a student to clinical practice is a big one. I imagine
Yeah.
a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves to come in and hit the ground running from day one. What
Yeah.
has that been like for you, and what was your experience with that, I guess?
Yeah, well, I mean, you've never been a nurse before. This is it. It's your first time being a nurse. So every bit of support is great. But I think particularly I can only speak for me, and like I said, it's the on-site educators. They're there every day, not even educators from your ward necessarily. It's just popping up, hi, can I do anything? I'm available. We've got a grad coordinator that is amazing at Warringal. If you can't get anyone face to face, there's numbers that you can call. You can go online if you're not sure about anything. If you don't sort of necessarily want to speak face to face with somebody, there's so many different options. But you're never alone. There's always someone there to support you.
Oh, it's great to hear, Sandy.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about the culture at Ramsey? What's your experience been like that with so far?
Look, for me, it's been great. Everything I've needed to sort of follow up or find out, or I suppose anything really, there's support always. Like I said, if it's not the grad coordinator, it's the educators. Not the educators, it's, it goes to like the nums and the A nums, other nurses. I think Ramsey is so big on training, and they've got so many grads and students. I think it's kind of just a bit of everybody knows that you're there to support each other.
Mm. Oh, it's great to hear,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad that you're enjoying your second rotation in oncology. So that
Yeah, love
probably
it.
leads me my last question, which leads me to it, is you're still in your grad year, but
Yeah.
will you continue your career at Ramsey after your graduate program is finished? What are your thoughts on that so far?
Yeah, definitely. I've already told my nurse unit manager I'm not going anywhere. I'm so fortunate to be in the ward that I really want to be in long term. I've already been given a couple of opportunities which blew my mind, considering I'm only in my second rotation, and in particular, two really amazing opportunities for the future. So I will absolutely be sticking around.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so nice to hear, Sandy. And
Yeah.
it sounds like Mel's been there every step of the way, which is awesome. Obviously, Mel's your
Mel's been
graduate
amazing.
coordinator.
Yeah,
Um, but that's all we've got so far for you, Sandy. So thank you so much
sure.
for answering our questions.
No
We
problem.
might get you to stick around though, because just in case when we get to our Q&A, some of the students might have questions that you might be best positioned to answer. So we'll see.
Sure.
But if you wouldn't mind sticking around, that would be awesome.
Yeah, not a problem. I can do that.
Awesome. We'll go to the next slide now. So we thought before we get into this Q&A, we've got still 20 minutes, which is great because we want to answer some of your guys' questions, but we will pop this up on the screen again. If you do want to apply, we've got the QR codes on the screen. Even if you just want to scan it and then look at it later, at least you've got the link on your phone. So take the time. We'll give you guys a sec to do that at the moment. Like Caroline mentioned, we are open, applications are open until Sunday, the 15th of March at 11:55 p.m. So you guys have until then if you want to apply. So we'll give you a moment. And then in a sec, we'll go to the Q&A. And if you don't manage to scan this QR code, don't stress. We will be sending out this recording after the session. And we will include the links to apply for each state as well on that email, so that you can click the link if you miss it here.
Aaron, I'm just going to take this opportunity to jump in. There's a question in the Q&A. I
Yes.
think somebody may have misunderstood a little bit. Dylan, if you're there, don't worry that you finish mid-June. You can absolutely apply for the mid-year intake. So we take you right up until October. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but right up until October for the mid-year intake. So please pop in an application. We just need to know that you're ready to register when you commence. So you
Yeah.
absolutely qualify for that mid-year intake.
Yeah. And I think Dylan, you might have missed it. And if anyone else that's wondering that, yeah, so if you're graduating anywhere between May and October, as long as you can get up a registration by your preferred commencement date, and you've obviously graduated by that time, any point between May and October of this year, you're eligible to apply. So don't think you have to graduate in the month of August. We cater for a longer time period than that. All right. Well, should we go to the Q&A now, Elliot? I can't see the questions on my screen, but maybe someone could start reading them out, and then we'll figure out the best person to answer the question.
Carolyn, do you have access to the Q&A? I think we did.
I do. I can read them out.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. We have a question from somebody saying that they're currently doing their application and deciding whether to submit a video or a statement. And they feel that a video is more personable, but is either one recommended more than the other to increase the chances of being successful?
Good question.
Yeah. Do you want to answer that one, Aaron?
Yeah, sure. Really good question and really good pickup. We would recommend, if you're confident to do so, to do the video. A lot of the hospital educators are checking those videos. It's a good way for them to get a little bit of a feel for who you are without actually meeting you. And we all know in the world of AI and ChatGPT and things of the like, some stuff can start to look and feel the same when you write something. So our advice would be, if you do have the confidence to do it, if you do a video, the chances are is that the educator will watch it at the hospital you apply for, and it may increase your chances of getting an interview if you take the effort to do it. Hopefully that answers the question.
Great. I'll move forward we've got quite a few questions coming through. So this is another one from someone saying that they graduated in January 2026 and they in Tasmania and have recently relocated to Victoria and have been applying for graduate nurse positions since May last year, but haven't had much success so far, including Ramsay. And they understand competition is high, and just wondering any recommendations or advice for someone in their position, especially regarding pathways into a hospital to strengthen their application.
Really good question. Kim, I'm going to answer a little bit of it. I'm hoping you might be able to add to it. I don't want to put you on the spot. Look, obviously, there's not a graduate position for everyone. We've only got a certain number, so that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is, as long as you've graduated within the last 18 months, you are still eligible to apply. So to this person, keep applying, apply again, because you're still eligible for the program. In terms of giving you an edge over others at the site, Kim, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there anything that you'd recommend this person does, or anything that could, strengthen it slightly?
Absolutely. Be you. Don't try and be somebody else. So when we as nurses are going through these applications, like Aaron mentioned earlier, we love the videos because it means that we can get a real feel of who you are. And we're looking for you to be the best version of you. So we really want your personality to be coming through. Something that used to drive me insane was when I was reading the applications, everyone would tell me about their passion for nursing, which is really lovely. But you're applying for a nursing job, so I really hope that you're passionate. So just try and think a little bit outside the box. Try and be who you are, but let that kind of come through, and try not to apply yourself into that cookie cutter mold, because you're trying to be someone else might actually be somebody who you think we want, when that's really not the person we want at all. Really, the person that we want is the real you. In terms of getting a foot in the door, so keep up your practice. So do anything you can to try and get into a facility somewhere. You might even need to look at doing some agency shifts if you can, going into aged care to start with, or something that's not really your ideal, but anything that you can show that shows your dedication will reflect really positive for you from a site perspective, because it shows us that you're working hard to maintain your skills. So even some study, if you want to engage in some short-term study, there's lots of amazing short courses out there. University of Tasmania, who's one of our partners, runs some amazing, what they call MOOCs, massive online courses. So anything you can do to show that you're current and that you're dedicated.
Thanks, Kim. The next question is who to contact if you're having trouble gaining access to the portal. You can contact our graduate recruitment team email address. That will pop up on the next slide once we're finished. And any inquiries that you have or any questions that we don't get to today, please feel free to email through to us and we will get back to you with all of your inquiries. The next question is, what if the previous cohort didn't have the ANSAT form? Like I said before, there is no specific clinical placement feedback form. So it doesn't need to be the ANSAT form. It's just any formal placement feedback that either your education provider provided while you are on placement, or that your clinical facilitator filled out while you are on placement. So you can attach that, and also know that it's not a mandatory requirement for your application form. So you can submit an application form in absence of this. Next question. I'm sorry, I think Josh and Jot, you didn't quite finish the question. So if you wanted to retype that one. Next question, please discuss the timings of the shift. Can we study other programs while learning with Ramsay? Kim or Marie, would you like to answer that one?
You want me to go for this one, March?
Yep.
So basically during your graduate year, we don't recommend that you study because we found that our graduates will really struggle with a good work-life balance if they're studying something whilst they're in a graduate year, and we often find that they find it harder to pick up the skills, which is part of the reason why we have so many opportunities offered to you in your development year. So you can, we can't stop you from studying, but we really strongly don't recommend that in your graduate year. Anything after that, great. But you've already got such a high cognitive load in that graduate year, it makes it really tricky. In terms of shift times, look, it really varies into which area that you're going into. Some hospitals vary the times, but majority of them is you need to remember that you are going into a 24/7 profession. So, there is some expectation that you may be doing afternoons, night shifts, weekends. The general kind of rule of thumb is that most wards operate from a 7 till 3, and they might do a 3 till 11 shift or 2 to 11 shifts. It just really depends on the actual facility and which ward or department you're going into. So I can't kind of give you too much detail in that space because they just vary. Yeah, remember it's 24/7.
I just will quickly add to that too. No, that's fine. On the application form that we have, it does ask if you're available for a minimum of 45 hours per fortnight. That is the minimum requirement to ensure that our grads get the most out of the program. So just make sure that you say yes to that question, that you are available for that minimum. Just another tip as well.
Great, thanks everyone. There's a question that sort of follows on from what we've just been discussing. And just asking the hours for both full-time and part-time. So just as Aaron said, part-time. Part-time can be anything from 45 to under 76 hours. And as long as you can meet that minimum requirement of 45 hours per fortnight, and full-time contracts are 76 hours per fortnight. Next question. I haven't completed a clinical placement with Ramsay Healthcare during my nursing studies. Would this affect my chances during recruitment, or are candidates without Ramsay placements still considered equally? That's a really great question. I think I can start on this, but please, Aaron, if you want to jump in, then please do so. So absolutely, if you have not completed a clinical placement or a cadetship with Ramsay, please apply. You are absolutely still considered for our graduate program equally. Obviously, it is helpful if you have been a student or a cadet, because you may have had already some interaction with the educators at site, or maybe some of the managers who may be interviewing. But that being said, we'll be able to identify great candidates regardless. So we welcome your application if you're external as well. Did you have anything to add to that, Aaron?
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely all applications are considered equally, so please do apply. Just sort of following on from some of the advice that Kim was giving before, just really and try make your application stand out from the crowd. You know, if you've got healthcare experience, put it at the very top of your resume. You know, if you can record that video, that's another thing that can make you stand out. I'm a little bit old school too, and I hope I'm not opening up a can of worms here, but even just calling the hospital and trying to get through to an educator and just introducing yourself, or going in and introducing yourself. I know they're busy, but it might just give you that little bit of an edge that, you know, I know if I was a manager and someone came and shook my hand and said, I just really wanted to introduce myself, I'd appreciate that. So yeah, just really think outside the box on things you can do to make yourself stand out. That would be our advice.
Next question, do we offer dual degree graduate programs so that you can work as an RN and an RM? Yes, we do. I don't know if you have anything to elaborate on that, Kim or Marie. But the short of it is yes.
We love dual degree RN, RMs. So absolutely, I encourage you to apply. It's really good to be able to see people that have the commitment to both sides of midwifery and nursing. So by all means, pop in an application.
I've received a query saying that somebody has proceeded to apply and selected the option indicating they don't have registration. However, the system hasn't allowed you to proceed with the application. For any issues that you're having with your application form, please again contact the graduate recruitment inbox and we'll be able to look into that for you from the back end. So
yeah, that's interesting. That shouldn't be doing that, because we understand a lot of you may still be studying and you don't have APRA at that time, right? As long as you've got APRA by the time that you start, that's okay. So yeah, please do email us and we'll try and fix that for you if we can get your name and your details.
Next question. Can you still apply if you have 3 months of casual EN experience? Yes, absolutely, you can. So, oh, sorry. Sorry, Kim, were you jumping in? I thought you were saying something. Oh, no. So, yes, absolutely, you can. As long as you just haven't completed more than 6 months of a previous graduate program, you are still eligible to apply if you've had previous working experience. And as well, as long as you haven't graduated longer than 18 months from your application. Do we have a resume template? No. Aaron?
When you say, I'm just trying to understand the question, in terms of a resume template that we can share as a guide, we don't actually have anything like that. What I would do is just stick to the basics, try and keep it simple. A lot of people try and flood a resume with pages and pages of stuff. Just clearly outline what you've done, and if you haven't had a job, that's okay. Outline what you've done in your clinical placements, and anything that you've got related to healthcare, put that at the top. Just do some Googling. You know, you can find plenty of resume templates out there. Just Google resume templates, and I'm sure just a nice, simple, clean one that doesn't have too much information, where you can clearly outline what you've done is the best.
Thanks, Aaron. Next question, is there any cost to join Ramsay? Kim, would you like to answer this question?
Absolutely. In terms of, do you have to pay to work for us? No, we pay you. It's about applying to us. But, you know, if you want extra uniforms, or if some facilities charge for parking, look, there may be some extraneous kind of costs which are reasonable costs, but you certainly don't have to pay to apply. And you certainly, once we recruit you, the idea is us to pay you, not you to pay us. So I hope I've answered that adequately for you. But if I haven't, just pop something in the Q&A. But absolutely no, there's no need for you to give any money to be able to work for us.
Mm. And just on that, I know many of you after this may go and apply. If you go and look at our advertisement through one of those QR codes or the links, you actually see in that state the rough pay grade for that state for entry-level nurses. So that can give you a rough idea of the range that you'd be looking at if you were successful, depending on whether you're an EN, an RN, or a midwife, obviously.
So the next question is somebody who says they were fortunate to have completed a perioperative care for their final placement, and they've applied for the Ramsay graduate program. And they're wondering, do we offer ICU training after our grad years for those who wish to go down this path? Kim?
Yeah. We certainly do, Nadia. So we have the opportunity. It's called a specialty transition. So you have the opportunity to be able to work in ICU from your second year onwards. It depends on a lot of different things. So a position being available, the facility having an ICU or an HDU for you to work in. But what I strongly encourage anyone is to make sure that they continually let their educator and their manager know what they're striving for in their career. So regularly have those career conversations and use those career conversations as leverage to get you where you want to go. And there's lots of different things you can do to position your career to be able to get there. So short answer, yes. Long answer, it can be a little complicated, but it's absolutely doable.
It's really good advice, actually, of voicing what you want to do. I'm not sure if Sandy's still with us. Sandy, I hope I don't put you on the spot here. It just might help some of the students because it's great advice, Kim. Are you still with us, Sandy, or have you dropped off?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, cool. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but did you
No, you're
voice
fine.
that you wanted to do your second rotation in oncology, or was that something that was offered to you? How did that go about? I'm just interested to know.
Yeah, I believe at the interview process, I mentioned that oncology palliative, I believe that I would enjoy.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough on my second rotation to get that deployment. But I think if you, certainly from my own experience, the more you speak up, you know, at the end of the day, your facilitators are going to want to put you where you think you're going to be the best nurse that you can be. So unfortunately, not everybody gets exactly where they want to get, but I think if you speak up, this is what I think I would like, I believe that most places in Ramsey are going to go out of their way to try and make that happen.
Great advice. Thanks so much, Sandy.
Yeah, no worries.
Elliot, I just saw your chat. Yeah, you're right. It is. We have gone over. Should we call it soon, Elliot, or what's the next steps from here?
Happy to field questions, but we've still got about 100 we haven't answered, so I don't think we're going to get to them all anyway. There's quite a few. So I think probably what's best is to jump to that next slide and just give everyone access to that email. So if we haven't got to your question today, we'll open up a bit of a line of communication with the Ramsey team so you can actually get all those questions answered if they weren't specifically answered today on the presentation or in that Q&A that we just did.
Yeah. Are you able to quickly go to the next slide, Kim? Are you still sharing?
Perfect.
Yeah. So that's, like Elliot said, that's our graduate recruitment inbox there. Take a photo of it or copy and paste it. If you've got any questions, we will do our very best to answer it. Just email it through. Also, for everyone that registered, despite whether you were able to join, we will send out the recording. Just give us a little bit of time to format that and send it out to everyone. But we will send out the recording and we will send out the application links for each state as well. Anything I've missed there, Elliot?
Nope. Perfect.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We know, like we said at the start, it's after hours. We really hope that you've got something out of today. And good luck with all your applications. And if you're still studying, enjoy the rest of your study. And we look forward to seeing you guys applying.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.